So you just finished high school, or maybe you're about to, and the big question everyone keeps asking you is, what are you going to do now? And 14 years ago, I had no clue what I wanted to do after high school. You probably heard that you got to go to college and get a job, but that is not the only way. And we'll talk about 5 common paths most people take after high school to give you some ideas, and then a sixth path that no one really talks about. And I want to make it clear that none of these paths are permanent. A better way to describe them probably would be launching off points to help get you started because people switch, they drop out, they pivot, or they stumble into careers that they never planned for. I've seen this dozens of times now with family, friends, coworkers, and everybody moves around. So you don't have to have it all figured out. That said, let's talk about the 5 common paths most people take, starting with the first, college. You get a degree, you get a job. Well, that's the plan, but oftentimes a lot of degrees nowadays, because the market is so saturated with college graduates, it's not as easy to get a job with any type of degree as it was maybe 30 or 40 years ago. For example, you may be interested in psychology, but a psychology degree in and of itself is likely not going to translate to a job. Like, you can't just be a therapist with a psychology degree. You'd have to get special certifications. Another example is maybe you're interested in biology. But biology degree oftentimes is a stepping stone to a master's degree or med school or something like that. So it's important, if you want to go the college route, to ensure that you can get a job from that degree post bachelor's degree graduation. Otherwise, you might have to go back to for further schooling, master's degree, whatever it may be. That said, a lot of good degrees right off the rip to get you a job are like engineering, anything computer science, nursing, education, being a teacher. Those are great degrees if you want a job right after graduating. All right, so the second launching point is learning a trade. This is a sleeper move that more people are catching on to, becoming a welder, an electrician, plumber. You can make just as much money doing this as people with degrees, and it takes way less time and money to get you started. So if college isn't your thing, if like studying and maybe being at a computer all the time, maybe you like working with your hands, learning a trade is a fantastic route. The third launching point is getting a job right away. This can be a great move, joining the workforce. That said, if you are going straight to work at 18, the things that you are likely qualified for, probably not something you want to be doing long term in the next 20 years. So you want to make sure, and you'll know this in time, that the job that you have at 18 is something that you can grow and continue to hone skills and kind of climb and progress. Otherwise, it's possible that you could be kind of stuck in a cycle and it may not lead to anything better. So that's something to be aware of if you join the workforce right away. The fourth option, one that I think is fantastic, is the military. It's a great option. It gives you structure. You get to see the world, gives you discipline. And once you're done, so that's the other thing, is that if you join the military at 18, in 20 years, you can retire. You can be done if you get an 18 at the age of 38, which means that instead of going maybe to college or a trade where you have to work until you're 65, you can be done at 38, which is a 27-year difference, which is pretty remarkable. And then you can also, there's great benefits. Maybe you do want to go back to college. They have benefits for you to have, help with pay for tuition. You get that pension, and there's things called VA loans, which makes it more affordable to buy a house if you're a veteran. So the military, while it's not for everyone, is a great route if you want structure and you want to get these benefits and you don't mind the discipline. All right, the fifth launching point, and this is something that's been a little bit more popular in recent years, is following your passion. Whether that be starting a business, making art, YouTube, music, this can be very fulfilling, and I will say it might be a little risky to make your passion a full-time career. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. By no means am I telling you to stray away from your passion. All I'm saying is that it can be very difficult, and you have to truly love and be obsessed with whatever it is you're passionate about, because the odds are things may get tough, especially if you're risking your financial stability on your passion, the thing you love. So just keep that in mind. Do you truly love it and are truly willing to maybe go without money or to make some real sacrifices for that passion. Otherwise, things could fizzle out. So just something to bear in mind if that's the route you want to go. All right, those are the 5 launching points, and now the 6th, the one that no one really talks about, and this is the wild card path. So regardless of any of those launching points that you may choose, any of those paths can lead you into a direction that you didn't expect. So maybe you work a random job and then that leads to you meeting someone who wants you to work with them, and that could fall into a career that is fantastic and you would have never known. Or maybe you got a degree in mechanical engineering and that leads to something in software, which is like one of the guys that I work with. Or maybe you go into the military and you get positioned in a job in the military that shows you a whole new avenue that you never would have thought to do. So the point is that life is messy, it's unpredictable, and that's okay. I know everyone is telling you have to have it all figured out, but you don't. So keep this in mind. Now, it doesn't mean that you can just wait for something to magically fall into your lap either. There's this balance of pursuing and kind of, picking something, but remember to stay open in that any of those launching points can lead into this 6th path of a new opportunity presenting itself that you didn't see before. All right, so that's kind of all the direct advice I have on the subject to help get you started. And so if you want to continue in this video, it will be about me talking about my personal experience of how I became a now software developer. So I took the conventional route of going to college with the hopes of becoming a doctor, which means I was a biology degree. And long story short, the coursework was really hard. I got a job as a tech in the hospital. Absolutely hated it. I didn't like even moving a patient on the bed. It just scared the crap out of me. So I quit going to school, but I was still enrolled. So I flunked out of the University of Georgia, go Dogs, and I went back home and I was like, okay, maybe if I can't be a doctor, maybe I can be a PA, a physician's assistant. That didn't really work out either. I was still enrolled in classes, and for whatever reason, was not going to those classes. My mom found out my grades. She kicked me out of her house, and luckily, a girl that I was dating in one of those classes, one of the few classes I did go to, took me in, let me live with her. Now my back was against the wall. It was do or die time. I was like, okay, I need to pick something that can get me a job right after these 2 years of finishing up school, because I've done all my prerequisites and all the core coursework before. So it's like I just needed to pick something that could get me a job right after. So I landed on computers. I landed on software development, and I have been doing that for 7 years now. And as I've kind of gotten settled in, I have now started doing things like writing and doing these kind of YouTube videos. So now it's like I'm pursuing my passion while I have a kind of stable career in software development. So yeah, that's kind of my journey. And obviously at 18, there was no way I could have predicted that was going to happen. So that's what I mean about this wild card path, is to stay open to what happens, and that there's no one size fits all. So to kind of summarize, your first path is just your starting point. You can always pivot. You are not stuck, and no one has it all figured out right off the rip. Success is not about finding the perfect path. It's more of just, at this point, learning and be willing to adapt. So pick a direction, stay open, and trust that you too will figure it out. Thank you all for watching, and best of luck.